Welcome in. Week 11 in the books. On to week 12. Well, after tonight.
Yeah.
This is going to be a showstopper, boys. Houston v. Dallas. Woo!
Battle of Texas.
Lone
What
Star
a
Showdown.
classic matchup this looked like in the preseason.
I know.
How great did this look in the preseason?
Yeah.
Everybody's pumped up for it. That's for sure.
It's kind of like what you're just talking about. You have these expectations with fantasy. Oh, my team's the best. And then it's all nothing at this point. So same thing.
Life comes
NFL.
at you fast.
Yep. Exactly.
Well, and since we're talking about it and the Cowboys, Dak officially put on IR today, season ending.
Yep.
So that's fun.
Yep. It is season ending for sure. I didn't catch that.
That's what they posted today,
Yes.
that it was season ending. They didn't say, I didn't see in depth what it actually was, like that they got any kind of clarification on that, but
Yeah. It was like the hamstring was off the bone or something, right? It's like
Something
torn
like
from
that.
the bone.
yeah. But usually you follow that up with something like, hey, we're putting him on IR because of this reason. Nope.
Yeah.
Yes, that was just a preemptive. That's what it was, and we'll worry about it later. But.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish it's frustrating though. Like they didn't do that earlier, so you can pick someone up. I mean, you still can pick someone up, but you would have more options if they did it a couple of days ago. But
yeah,
it's standard.
That's why we keep trying. We keep trying to tell people all these options that they can get for the long term. For example, I dumped a bunch of fab that I didn't need to for Baker Mayfield because he was dropped last week.
Yep, there you go.
So
That'll do it.
I spent 25% of my fab. I'm like, yeah, they should do it, right? They're going to drop him and let him just sit on the waiver wire for a week. I'll pick that up and we can roll it out next week.
Yep, there you go.
All right. But if you didn't do that, or that didn't happen in your league, start out with quarterback. When I'm looking at Russell Wilson, 45.2% rostered over the past 3 weeks. No quarterback has scored less than 18 fantasy points against the Browns. That's fun. I thought this was a good defense, and then it just kind of, I don't know if it's because they don't have the offense is going as well or what it is. Maybe it is Winston's fault. Who knows? Or, Winston. I keep doing that. The L and the N are just too much for my brain. So I keep switching Jameis Winston and Wilson. I did it all day on Sunday. But in any case, this should be a bounce back game for Wilson. He had a rough week this past week, going up against the Ravens, who just stepped it up against him. Think that was potentially just divisional and them knowing each other too well. But this week, another divisional matchup, so don't get me wrong there. But it's been an up-down for Wilson. 24, then 14, then 19, then 7. So hopefully this week he's back to 20-plus fantasy points, and he'll be good to go. The other one I'm actually stealing from you, Mike, because I keep just getting blown away by him. But Drake May, 18% rostered. Outside of Stafford the past 4 weeks, every quarterback has scored 19 fantasy points in this matchup. He has that safe rushing floor. It's just he continues to score, and I'm just so impressed with him overall as he faces off against the Dolphins, and so it's just incredible. Since he's taken over, he's been QB 10 in points. Like, granted, that doesn't include people who've been on bye, but he's averaging 17.2 fantasy points. That's not going to kill you. As somebody who's been rostering and really just rolling him out, Jaden Daniels every week, having the 17.2, probably I would have preferred that. Over the past 2 games have been really brutal. So those are my picks. Mike, who do you have?
Yeah, no, I love the Drake. I love the Drake May pick. So
I figured, but I know I stole it from him. I was like, I'm going to make him work a little bit.
Yeah, I mean Stafford. We see what the potential of Stafford is in the Rams offense when all those guys are there. So we haven't had it much this year. We've had some up and downs and things like that, but you just look at the last 3 weeks, he's basically thrown for 300 yards each of the last 3 weeks, 2 touchdowns, no touchdowns, and then 4 touchdowns yesterday. So does have a pretty tough schedule coming up in general. The Rams do. They get the Eagles. They get the Saints after that, but then they get the Bills, Niners, Jets. I don't think are too tough. Cardinals. There's some tough teams in there, so it's not the greatest. But I trust Stafford enough to where, if that offense is going to be healthy, like I almost throw matchups out the window a little bit with him, just because he's at that level of quarterback play. If you do want to play the matchup game, Will Levis and the Titans have, I think I read that they have the best quarterback schedule to end the year. So they get Texans, Commanders, Jags, Bengals, Colts, Colts, Jags. So pretty nice schedule there, including the Jags twice. And one of those in your fantasy championship, which I'm sure we'll be talking about all the way in at the end of December. But if you want to get ahead of it a little bit, it does have a good schedule. Tough to trust Will Levis, but sometimes matchups kind of are king there. So don't mind those on top of the two that you mentioned in Russell Wilson and Drake May. So good options out there, like always. Quarterback has been, I think, pretty good this year. And, you could throw Taysom Hill in there if you can start him at quarterback too, because we'll be talking about him later, but geez, that's some pretty amazing stuff. So those are my quarterbacks there.
I thought for sure you're going to go and look at the other awesome quarterback schedule with new starting quarterback, Tommy DeVito.
Tommy Cutlets. Coming back in.
No, doesn't appeal to you as much as Will Levis.
I mean, not really. I'd rather take Will Levis. Although DeVito last year, he did give you a solid rushing floor, 21.7 rushing yards per game in his games played last year. So it's not a terrible shout, but I don't know. I just can't. I think they're just tanking, to be honest. So.
But see, if you were tanking, why don't you just stay with Daniel Jones? Because that's what'll tank you.
Well, it's the injury clause.
There's an off chance that Tommy DeVito is actually okay and wins you a few games by accident, like he did last year.
Very true. No, very true.
What was it, like 2 or 3 games DeVito won for them that got them to number 5 instead of in the top 2?
Yep. Yeah, we became the Linsanity sensation. Yep. So
right.
Yeah.
All right.
And then you glossed over it because we were talking about, I forget what we were talking about at the beginning, but this is one of the bipocalypses. Oh, you were talking about Dak at the beginning.
I didn't even touch the buys yet, which I guess I should include.
This is one of the bipocalypse weeks. So you got Joe Burrow and Josh Allen both in the top 5 are on bye this week. In the top 15, you've got Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers also on bye. So there could be somebody out there on bye that you're using on a regular basis that you got to rotate in. And then my only shout for the week, even though he technically doesn't make the list because he's at 54%, but I'm going back to the Bo Nix well.
Yeah.
If you're one of the 46% of leagues that doesn't have Bo Nix rostered, you can fix that by picking him up, because he put up monster numbers against Atlanta. Currently QB3 on the week. He's finished QB 15 or better each of the last 4 weeks now. He's finished in the top 10. 4 of his last 7 games. So he's putting up good numbers. So if he's out there, he's probably a reasonable start for you.
Yeah, they're throwing his name around for offensive rookie of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, his numbers are kind of better than Jaden Daniels at this point, who's the favorite. So,
and for what he's done with basically no weapons compared to the other guys on a team that was supposed to be horrendous and is actually competing, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's a good one to throw out there if he's available. We can sneak that one in there. But we'll move into running back, and it's the same guys. I'm just coming back to the same guys. Get your handcuffs. So Tyler Algier, he has to be rostered. I know he couldn't score, but he is clearly the second behind Bijan. And then we saw it this week with Jones kind of beat up. Cam Akers, still too widely available. Continues to get a decent floor, and I think this week was actually like top 24 running back, if I remember correctly. But in any case, he could just be a potential flex moving forward. Makes it pretty easy. So those are my two. Mike?
Yeah, I'm curious about this Raiders backfield, I guess. Like you said, it's not great, which is, again, good because running backs haven't really been getting hurt. So that's a good sign because the waiver wire for running backs has not been great for, it feels like, the last month or so. I mean, are we interested in Zamir White or even the rookie in Dylan Lobb, or Lobby or Lauby? I forget how to say his name, but it sounds like Madison is potentially hurt. I think Zamir White actually got hurt as well.
Yeah, they both left in the third quarter. Actually, Madison might have gone in the fourth, but it was close enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know Amir Abdullah kind of took over a little bit after that, but I would imagine they kind of use him, just kind of keep his role, Amir Abdullah. And if both those guys are hurt, they do use Dylan Laub or or Zamir White if he's healthy and Madison's out. Do they have any interest in those guys? It's kind of gross again.
Yeah, it's just brutal because you don't know who is going to have the pass catching role. I mean, they keep sprinkling it among all three of them, honestly, with White eating into it, Amir just randomly seeing all the targets in one game, and then neither one of Madison or White seeing any, and it's just that backfield is I'm very similar to the Broncos backfield. I'm terrified of that as well.
Yep.
So
yeah,
but I mean, I completely understand if you're hurting. That's probably a pretty good place to go because potentially you'll have one of the guys who has a good week. I think actually Madison and White were pretty close to being top 25 this week as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm always intrigued by the rookies, and I'm pretty sure it's Lauby, by the way. I looked it up, and I think that's the right thing. But I'm always intrigued by him, and he was interesting in college. Kind of did it all, catching and running and everything. So, and then take Bigsby. He was injured. He probably got dropped even a little bit more, and he's one of the few who can have an impact without an injury. That's kind of out there. We saw him kind of come on a little bit, but I mean, Jacksonville's just an absolute mess. So it's you're not going to feel comfortable starting him either. But it's really the handcuffs, right? Get the handcuffs. Yep. You know the names. That's who you should be going for. And I would even prioritize that, even if I don't have the starting running backs for those handcuffs. Unless I desperately need a start or something, I'm just going to pick up. I'm not picking up, Zamir White or something just to hold, because I'll just pick up Braylon Allen or Algier or any of those guys and hope for an injury, at least not too serious, but hope for an injury that helps your fantasy team. So, unless we're missing someone.
Well, we're also going to. I'm guessing Bigsby's numbers going to go down again because he is on bye this week. So I'm sure more people are going to drop him. So it should be even more widely available next week, if I had to guess. But definitely something to keep an eye on if you don't want to have to pay fab, or you just want to be able to, or you have the space to stash somebody. Bigsby's a pretty good option. And then, of course, I have to bring it up because coming off a bye, Trey Benson. People might have forgotten, but he really took on a decent role 2 weeks ago. And we know that Connor's older. So, and they're potentially looking to the future, since I'm pretty sure Connor is a UFA this year. So that in mind, things to keep in mind. People are going to start being out of the race for playoff and going to start tanking and want to see what they have. Now is potentially your time to look at those teams that might make the switch. I mean,
yeah. I'm surprised you didn't mention your guy, Justice Hill. I still think you can throw him out there. If he came down with that weird interception where it was basically taken out of his arms, he had 4 catches for 28 yards. That was a 20, 30, maybe 40-yard catch right there. So he's still you can get away with it maybe if you think the game script's going to be for him, you know. And there's even times where it hasn't even, like the win against Denver, and he had 60 total yards with 3 catches. Like if you're down that bad, I'm just going to go in PPR especially, and he basically has 2 to 4 catches. It seems like the last 5-6 weeks or so. So yeah, I mean, it's not a bad one as well.
Yeah, we miss anybody, Steve? You got anybody on your mind?
Nope, the handcuffs is right. I will throw out, just because it's come up in the Discord a couple of times, that Chase Brown 100% starting running back for Cincinnati. I know people were a little concerned about them trading for Khalil Herbert, and yes, it was his first week, but played 4 snaps. He was on the field for 4 offensive snaps and 12 special team snaps. That's why he's there. He's the backup. He is the handcuff, but that's all he is. He doesn't have any value outside of a Chase Brown injury.
Yeah.
Yep. So we've also kind of seen that Brown is going to just have that job moving forward.
Yes.
I mean, he's going to be a start every week.
Yes.
Yeah. Someone else actually that came to my mind is talking Roshan. I mean, he's If
that
this is the new new offensive coordinator, like, is this his role? We saw him kind of like taking that role a little bit from Swift, even when Swift was having his good weeks, that goal line kind of back. And then he has that upside if something were to happen to Swift, who has been injured a lot in his career, stayed healthy last year and so far this year. But, Roshan, I think, could turn into, if he needed to, like that 3-down back, but
he's a great pass catcher. But yeah, you saw what they were doing yesterday is using him in short yardage. He was the second and third and 3. He was the back in there to plow through on 3rd down. He was also the goal line back. And again, they used him like that yesterday. And I believe they went something like, I forget what the stat was. It was like 8 for 14 on 3rd down, something like that. And in the previous 3 games with Waldron as OC, they went 6 for 40.
Yeah.
So just when you properly use your players and call the right plays, it makes a world of difference. And he does have a role.
Yeah. The other part of that is pre-snap motion.
Yeah.
That was the big part of it, is like they started doing what the teams that are having success offensively do, and start moving players prior to the snap to kind of get an idea, get people moving, get their eyes looking a different direction, and they're able to really set up a play. And that also, I think, really helped that offense. And we'll see if it continues.
Yeah. To your point, Mike, he was on the field. Roshan was on the field for 42% of the snaps yesterday, which is a season high. So they were mixing him in, and it's not like it hurt Swift either. He had a great game. So he definitely will have a legitimate role the rest of the way.
All right. Well, RBs are done. Into the wide receiver, and it's going to be Panthers wide receiver. Make it easy. Jalen Coker, 6.5%. Xavier Legette, 41.4%. Widely available, coming off the bye. Also, potentially Adam Thielen going to be back. We'll see how that works out. But Legette has been very consistent as a flex for you. Had some big weeks. However, I am a little nervous this week. That's why I have them both down. That's who they end up trying to take away, is Xavier. So we kind of saw it this past week. That's, I think, why all of the outside wide receivers struggled against the Chiefs. Is they're like, okay, you're going to have to throw it in the middle. And I believe that's going to be Coker's job. And, of course, Sanders. But that's a different position. So just throwing it out there. I'm very curious to see how that works out. And then the other one is, on that same note, Browns wide receiver. Elijah Moore, though, 12.1% rostered, with Winston under center. Every wide receiver on this team's a flex. Literally, past 4 games, Elijah Moore, 12.8 fantasy points. The low being 5.8, and this past week being his high at 18.6 fantasy points. Winston is not scared to throw it. And so with that in mind, that's part of the reason I liked him so much last week as a potential streamer. And it worked out. He didn't turn the ball over, and that really boosted his number. He also threw for almost 400 yards. That helps, and 2 touchdowns. So when you have somebody that's going to throw it that much, pretty much every time. That's what you're going to see is a lot of throwing from Winston. So I think all three of them going to be flexes for you moving forward with the potential upside of it being a wide receiver 1 or 2 if one of them gets really hot, which we saw with Jerry Jeudy getting the big points this week. So
I didn't really watch that game. I was very confused at how they only put up 14 points when he had 400 yards passing, and then I thought, oh, he must have had like 4 interceptions. Like, no interceptions. Like, what was going on with this game? Like, I don't know. It was like very confusing to see that. I was just like, that something's not adding up here. I don't know if there was fumbles. And again, I watched like nothing of that game, but yeah, very strange. Just kind of very strange stuff there. Yeah, I like those options a lot. Like them a lot for sure. And Bryce Young, we could even have thrown his name out on the quarterback waiver wire part. Like he's looked better. He's improved and definitely since getting benched. So it's nothing amazing, but he looks better. So MVS. I mean, are we buying it? Like, is he just the new Rashid Shaheed? Like, Derek Carr can throw the deep ball. And
that's why we keep bringing him up, man. That's what it takes is one big play and he's gone.
Yeah. And sometimes you could have a team, especially this week or week 14, where you're just like have half your team on buys. And it's just like, well, I'm probably going to lose anyways. I need a miracle. Let me throw MVS in there. And hopefully he gives me 100 yards and a touchdown, and then I have a chance versus, starting someone who's going to give you 8 points when you have no one else to give you points. So always think about that kind of stuff, depending on how your team's looking. It's a definite dart throw, but it's hit the last 2 weeks, and you'll probably start him this week and he'll do nothing. But, Derek Carr does throw a pretty good deep ball, and we saw it with Rashid Shaheed last year, where it was connecting for sure. So,
and
Nick, go ahead.
Point of note, he will score you 0 this week because he's on bye.
That's right. I always forget to check those buys. But,
this is fascinating too. So I do want to point it out because you piqued my interest, Mike. So they had 11 possessions. The Browns did. Never started with the ball better than their own 30. So always the kickoff.
It's a kickoff,
yeah.
And their 11 drives ended with turnover on downs, punt, touchdown, punt, missed field goal, touchdown, punt, turnover on downs, punt.
Jeez, man. They just are throwing it all over and wow. I wonder where those field goals were from. Can you see how far those field goals were? They must have been pretty
let's see. He had the last line of scrimmage was at the New Orleans 33. So that would have been a 50-yarder.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the New Orleans 9. So that would have been like a 26-yarder.
Should have made that one.
They turned it over on downs on the 50-yard line and the New Orleans 22. But then punted, missed field goals, basically everything.
Yeah.
It's
it was just it is, yeah. Yeah. I guess that's where you get all the yards from.
Yep.
Nick Westbrook-Akine, he's 5 touchdowns in the last 6 games and it's 6 targets. He was kind of put up an MVS stat line, but I bet you if you look over the last 4 weeks, like he's up there in the top 24 or so because he has all those touchdowns. So I don't know, is he someone we can rely on? We're scraping the bottom of the barrel again, but if he keeps catching these touchdowns, and there's really no one else besides Ridley, and of course the running backs, but it's just those 2 guys at the receiver position. So Raven McLeod, especially if Mooney is going to miss a week or so, and I believe they are on bye, right? Yeah, they are on bye. Yep. So you got to keep that in mind. But probably doesn't. But McLeod he's had games here and there, so it's more of a if Mooney's going to be out type of ad there, to potentially grab him. Some other guys actually didn't write down, but Demario Douglas still it's a good solid play. It depends on what you need, but if you just need that safe 10 PPR points, like he's almost a lock to get it for you, especially with Drake May playing so well as of late. So he's 7 for 35, 4 for 50, 5 for 59 the last 3 weeks. And so, that's a pretty nice little floor there. So I still like Demario Douglas. Not a lot of upside, but he'll catch the touchdown every now and then too on top of it. So yeah, I'm not sure if Jalen Tolbert, you just want to monitor the
Game
the
tonight.
CeeDee Lamb stuff. Yeah, if Dak's officially done, like how close is CD from just being done as well.
Right.
So yeah, some options.
There's a good one.
Pick up Christian.
Yeah, I was looking at this one.
I just don't-
Would you say Christian Watson has a better touchdown opportunity, right? Like,
No.
Well, no, because the
It's
Lions
JMO.
offense
It's
is
the
just
offense.
nuts.
You always play the better offense.
Yeah.
yeah, it's just that
Well-
offense is like, it's
a run game.
It's the run game, and Amon-Ra is like almost like he's like just as good of a lock as like Derrick Henry these days to get a touchdown. So it feels like one's going to go to Amon-Ra and multiple are going to go to the running backs, and then like maybe someone else will get a touchdown. I don't know. Like I know he has 4 touchdowns this year, which is pretty good in 8 games. So yeah, that's tough. It has.
Yeah. I'm probably
I guess
going to
it's
go Will.
Jameson.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go Jameson as well, just because.
Yeah.
Mostly it's because I don't trust
'Cause it-
Christian Watson.
Well, also because it's not PPR. This is the only format where I would want either of these high bust potential players.
Yeah.
Because you're not getting the receptions to add those points for the other guys. You're just looking for yards and touchdowns.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I don't know. That is a really tough
mean,
one because like I agree Lions are a better offense, but it's almost like Packers they're not a bad offense at all, and like I think you can make an argument that like Watson has a better they have a better
I
touchdown.
don't know about that.
I don't know. It's tough because like Love's been injured and Malik Willis is in there, but I think when they're all kind of healthy, they're a pretty good offense too, and maybe they get going. Yeah, I think
So-
I'll go J-Mo as well.
Yeah, he's played 8 games this season. 6 of the 8 games, he's had at least 53 yards receiving.
Yeah,
He's been fairly consistent. He had 2 busts, but like Christian Watson has hit 53 yards 3 times in 9 games.
yeah,
He's a
Yeah.
much, much bigger bust threat.
yeah,
Like Jamo's still the number 2 wide receiver on that team.
yeah.
Easy.
Yeah,
It's
he
St.
is.
Brown, and then it's Jamo, and then if Laporta plays, he's the 3 in terms of like pure
Mhm.
receivers that isn't running back.
Yeah,
Whereas Watson, what is he, like the 5th?
yeah. 4th,
Yeah.
3rd, I don't know.
I mean, if he's not
Is it-
counting running backs, it's probably
Reed,
3.
it's Dobbs, it's Wicks, it's Kraft.
It's Reed and then Dobbs. But Dobbs this week Dobbs is going to be the one who's always out there.
Yeah.
But does he actually see the target? Who knows?
Part of me just feels like Christian Watson. Like if I'm picking up one of these guys to put on my bench, I feel like it might be Watson. I just feel like he might develop into a little bit more. If I'm picking him up to like start over the next couple of weeks, then I do think it would be Jameson. I just think Watson. Like I think I know Jameson's role, and I don't think it's really changing. So I guess there's that way to look at it too. Like if you're looking for like more ceiling potential for a guy to go on a 3-week tear, maybe it's Watson, but yeah, they're very similar type players.
I mean, the biggest argument against him would just be that maybe he doesn't see as many targets when they're blowing teams out, but that wasn't a problem yesterday. So I don't know.
Yeah. Fair
Yeah.
enough.
All right. Into tight end roulette. I'm going to go with a guy we kind of been mentioning, but never really talked fully about. Johnny Smith.
He's been awesome.
Been surprisingly good. Very consistent. If you take out this week, he's averaged around 7 fantasy points, which isn't super, but this week he really exploded with the 28.1 fantasy points. He is out targeting Waddle since Tua's return at this point, and I'm just going to trust it. That part of it is the fact that Tua's under pressure, and while Waddle is getting those jet sweeps and end rounds, when it's actually on the field, it's Johnny Smith. So it's a decent offense, and I think he has a solid role moving forward.
Yeah. And I think the hesitation with him was like, oh, is it just, when Tua's back, it's going to be Tyreek and Waddle. And no, like, he's been awesome. He's on pace for over 60 catches, 750 yards, and five touchdowns, I think. So, like, that's really good tight end numbers. And we've seen him be good in the past. And he went to the Patriots and died like everyone else has the last 4 years. So, yeah, I like that call. We got to talk about Taysom Hill. That was one of the most incredible stat lines I've ever seen in my life. This is like this is like 1920s player stat line. Seven rushes, 138 yards, 3 touchdowns, 10 targets, 8 catches, 50 yards. He threw a pass, he threw an interception, he had a 42-yard kick return. He's like the personal protector on punt teams, the guy's insane, so and their offense is just better when he's, as much as we hate it as like fantasy players, because he kills Carr and Olave when he was playing, or Kamara, but yeah, we've been talking about him for a while. Like, I'm gonna take the lows. If I'm starting Taysom Hill, I'm gonna take the lows to get the highs, and so hopefully you've been starting him. And then Will Disley, we still, he just keeps doing it. And Hunter, Hayden Hurst is back, right? So
yeah, he did it this week with both of them.
Yeah. So. Yeah, Disley, 6+ targets in 4 of the last 5 games. So 40, 4 for 80 yesterday in the touchdown. So he seems to be a part of that offense. So don't mind him as well.
Yeah, really like both of those options. It's just Hill is really for the gambling man. Because boy is it high and boy is it low.
Yeah.
But comparatively to other tight ends,
it's the same.
It's really not that low. The last 4 games that they played here before the bye, he had a minimum of what, like 6 points? His worst was a 6.2. Out of your tight end position, I'll take that.
Yeah,
and the fact that he exploded for a 42, is obviously not going to happen every week, but he had a 16 in there as well. So,
yeah, 4+ carries since he came back from the injury the last 4 weeks, and he's had 4, 5, 2, and then 10 targets. So he's basically getting 8 opportunities, and we see what the ceiling is. So, yeah, he's pretty awesome. I don't know how they can't stop him, but he's awesome.
Because you don't know what he's going to do. You don't know if he's going to be a running back, if he's going to be throwing it, if he's going to be the wide receiver. Who knows? If he's just going to block you. It's hard to stop somebody who's doing it all the time. So
absolutely.
All right.
You already know where I'm going.
Go for it. Let's hear it.
Coming off the bye, learning that playbook.
Yep.
This is it. This is your opportunity right now. 3% rostered. Theo Johnson. I kept saying he's run, only Cade Otton has run more tight end routes than Theo Johnson. He's just not getting targeted for some reason. Well, he got targeted the last 2 games by Daniel Jones, and now here comes Tommy Cutlets. Your best friend as a young QB is that safety valve tight end. He's out there more than anybody else for that offense. This 100% could be a blow-up week for him.
Yeah.
Definitely worth it. Definitely worth a look for sure. So,
do we know what wonder what DeVito did with his tight ends when he was starting? Probably too late to look up.
Who was their tight end last year?
They had Waller, but I don't know how much of that he was.
How much was he actually playing during that time?
Yeah. Though? Yeah. There's Bellinger.
It's another really basic name. Oh my gosh.
Daniel Bellinger?
Yes.
Yeah.
His DB last year.
Yeah, but wasn't he hurt too? Didn't he have the eye thing? Like he had the dislocated
Towards the end of the year.
retina or something?
Yeah, I don't even know who lined up, but
Oh no,
Yeah,
that was
yep.
maybe that was the year before because he played all season last year. Bellinger did.
All right. Well, worth a shot.
Yeah.
Any case, now it's time to stream defenses, and we'll see how it goes tonight because Washington Commanders, 28.6% rostered, get to play the Dakless Cowboys. Granted, 2 of their 11 weeks so far it's been double digits, and only 1 has been negative. Granted, it was the first week, so think against the Cowboys, the Commanders can get it done. This looked a lot more fun beforehand, and now that Dak is out, and we'll see how if CeeDee Lamb plays tonight, how that offense even looks or moves, and if the Texans are good at all. So my pick's pretty easy, but pretty widely available at 28.6% rostered.
Yeah, no, I like that. Yeah, I went Bucks versus those Tommy Cutlets Giants. So I think Bucks aren't a great they aren't
Defense.
a great defense, yeah, but
they're good offense.
Yeah. But play the matchup there a little bit. So so I would go them. I was kind of looking at like you said, it's not great for streaming. I don't know if there's someone else better. I mean, Broncos, but they're probably rostered by a lot of people, like their matchup. Cardinals, Seahawks, nah, probably not, right? That's probably avoid that. So
yeah, I mean, it's just so hard to tell you what Gino's going to show up and what Murray's going to show up.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Like I said, it's a rough week when it comes to looking at defenses because all of the ones that you might be able to stream are either on bye or aren't good.
Yeah.
So it's rough. I understand why you went the Bucks. I definitely took the best option. That was me. So I was like, I'm going to take the easy layup here and hope for the best because I don't know about the rest of these teams. So hopefully you picked up the Chargers like 4 weeks ago when we told you so.
Right. Well, last week too, we were talking about picking up Houston because they had the double dip. They got the Cowboys this week, and then next week they fulfill my anybody against the Titans prophecy. The Broncos currently are 58% rostered, so they're just over the threshold. But if they're available in your league, they get the Raiders. So you love to see that. What else you got? The Steelers are probably too widely owned, right? Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's see. Chargers are 52. They're 52.
You don't want the Chargers this week anyway against the Ravens.
No.
Yeah, probably not.
Monday night, baby. Yay. Maybe the Browns against the Steelers. It's supposed to be the low over-under.
Yeah. Someone may have dropped the Chiefs in your league, so obviously check for that against the Panthers. But yeah, not a lot of great options.
No, it's not ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Cardinals probably be the other one. Just, I mean, they've played really well last few games.
Yeah.
What was it? They had last 4 games, they've scored 8, 3, 12, and 12 before their bye. And now they're playing Seattle. And the Seahawks currently have the 6th most points per game for opposing defenses. So probably not terrible. I do like the fact that they got 2 weeks to prepare for it. So that should help. But it's a division game. You never know.
Yeah.
But if you're desperate, that's probably
could definitely do worse. So, all right. Well, with that in mind, let's get out of here. Let everybody go watch the game. If you want, I guess. There's a lot of basketball on. Like, that's part of the reason I'm decked out is because I'm planning on watching that right now.
Rush. You don't want to watch Trey Lance come in the 4th quarter in a blowout?
I'm excited to see hopefully Collins get my 71.5 receiving yards done in like one play.
Right.
That'd be ideal.
You don't want to see CeeDee Lamb looking lethargic on the bench in the fourth quarter?
Well, I'm more worried about his shoulder than anything else.
It's a night game, so no glare.
That's
right. No sun glare
excuse
this
moon.
week.
Moon glare.
Yeah, moon glare.
it's
No,
a moon
Jerry
beam.
Jones is
I
just
got
going to
the
be
moon
over
beam.
there in the he's going to be over in the party zone with a big spotlight, just casting a giant light in everybody's eyes just to spite him. Oh, Jerry.
No, Jerry's
Tear the
dressed
whole
up-
place down.
Jerry's dressed up as Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, let's get out of here. With that in mind, good luck. We'll be back Wednesday having fun, and then hopefully this helped. And with that in mind, have a good week. Remember, as always, to keep up the nonsense.